Having a truly great video game trailer is easier said than done. Even if the graphics are out of this world and the game is swimming in preemptive hype, it mightn't be enough to grab potential customers' attention. To leave the biggest impression possible, the marketing team needs to do something extra special. Sometimes it's outside of the box thinking, other times it's a matter of timing, and in some cases it's just a stellar presentation. So with that in mind, I'm Sai, this is WhatCulture, and here are 10 classic video game commercials that were peak.
Want to stay safe online and save big? Well, you can. Right now, you can get up to 76% off a 2-year NordVPN plan, plus 4 months free and up to a $50 Amazon gift card. And all you've got to do is click the link in the description below or on this QR code that should be right down here in this video to get signed up with this great deal right now.
Number 10. Batman Arkham Origins. There were concerns for the Batman Arkham brand when Rocksteady announced they wouldn't be working on Batman Arkham Origins. Skepticism escalated further when it came to light that Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill wouldn't be reprising the roles of Batman and the Joker respectively. With that said, the marketing for the prequel was a work of art. A TV spot perfectly conveyed Bruce Wayne's transition from an innocent child to a hardened vigilante in less than 30 seconds, all without a single word of dialogue. It really says a lot about both how good the trailer is and how familiar everyone is with Batman's origins that even with no prior indication, it becomes clear very quickly what we're watching. Despite being focused entirely on Bruce's face, it has that gothic Gotham vibe. From there, we see him bullied, in training, and all the while the trauma changes who he is as a person. Finally, we come to rest on a fully formed Dark Knight, throwing all of his anger into a punch. Arkham Origins may be the black sheep of the series, but it's impossible to fault this promotion. Number 9. Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. Didn't just make Nintendo a household name, but it pretty much saved the American gaming industry after the disastrous crash of 1983. After the iconic platformer dominated sales, Nintendo got to work on a sequel, which only released in Japan, whilst America got a reskin of Doki Doki Panic. As I'm sure you're aware, it's Video Game Trivia 101. And if you didn't know, well, look at there, now you know. But as soon as the commercial for Super Mario Bros. 3 aired, it was apparent that this version wasn't just a game, but a momentous event. The advertisement opens with dozens of people wearing blue in a field chanting Mario's name. As the camera zooms out, we see hundreds of people performing the chant, this time dressed in red and white. And as the camera pans out fully, we get a shot from space revealing the crowd, which numbers in the millions, having formed a giant image of Mario's face. Not only is this a delightful reveal, it establishes the Nintendo mascot's impact on the world. And on top of that, it's a pretty decent special effect even by today's standards. Despite showing no footage from the game itself, this commercial made gamers excited for Super Mario Bros. 3 beyond measure. So many kids would have seen this commercial between episodes of whatever cartoon they were watching and just immediately turn around to their parents and go, I know what I want for Christmas! Number 8. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Whilst the Uncharted series is largely remembered for crazy set pieces and Nathan Drake's wisecracks, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End made a concerted effort to round out its hero and promised a much more emotionally effective story. Its TV spot, The Man Behind the Treasure, spoke about the attempt to rise above their expectation quite literally. Just 30 seconds long and laser focused, in one swooping slow motion shot, we see Nathan throwing himself through the air firing a pistol as the ground falls away beneath him. It appears he's reaching for a coin as he describes himself as a 2-bit thief risking it all for some piece of treasure, before we instead see that he's actually reaching to grab a hold of his brother who hangs precariously over the edge, declaring, "But that's not who I am." Set to a haunting piano rendition of the Pixies classic Where Is My Mind, it's at once a display of Uncharted as an action game, but also the potential for the fourth entry to really push the emotional side of the story. For fans that were looking forward to the game, it was a great indication that those who felt close to the series were going to get something really special, and as A Thief's End was set up to be Nathan's last adventure, it was a perfect first step on that journey. Number 7. Resident Evil Requiem. Even though Capcom made it clear the 9th Resident Evil installment was in active development in 2024, nobody was ready for the grand unveiling. Rather than showing a brief teaser for Resident Evil Requiem, a 3.5-minute trailer dropped at this year's Summer Game Fest. The first 2 minutes focus on an FBI agent called Grace prepping for a new case. Though an exchange between her and her boss seems firmly grounded, the cryptic soundtrack suggests something more sinister is afoot. This is where the pennies start to drop. If you're a superfan, then the surname Ashcroft might get you, but if it doesn't, then the first name Alyssa will. As one of the protagonists of the cult classic Resident Evil Outbreak, spin-off games largely ignored by Capcom for about 20 years, it sent many fans into a dizzying spiral of disbelief. Even more so when the trailer unveils a crater and the destroyed remains of Raccoon City. Once the subject of so many fanfictions, we are finally going back to Resident Evil's origin point, perfectly timed for the upcoming 30th anniversary. A wonderful combination of moving forwards and also paying homage to the past. It remains to be seen whether the final game in 2026 will live up to one of the best, if not the best, Resi reveals of all time. For now, it's good to be a survival horror fan. Number 6, Pokémon Go. Despite the commercial leading us to believe that the entire world gets together to make a giant image of Mario's face, it's not Nintendo's most lucrative property. That would be Pokémon. So when Niantic announced they were developing an augmented reality game called Pokémon Go for mobile users, well, it was expected to do wonderfully. However, the free-to-play mobile title was an unprecedented success, managing hundreds of millions of downloads and raking in billions. Obviously, a lot of people played Pokémon Go. I would put some of my billions down that you played Pokémon Go, because everyone wants to feel like they're finding, capturing, and battling the virtual critters in the real world. But another reason why the AR title managed to really blow up was its marketing. Although the Super Bowl commercial was sensational, the Discover Pokémon in the Real World commercial made you feel like you lived amongst Squirtles, Charizards, and Pikachus. Seeing people from all walks of life trapezing around towns, cities, and forests to snag a particular Pokémon evoked a childlike wonder rarely experienced. Rather than just relying on nostalgia, the commercials pushed the social aspect of the game, having teams work together to take down daunting adversaries like Mewtwo. Sure, Pokémon Go could have been gimmicky, but these commercials asserted that this was a brand new chapter in the franchise. Number 5, The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. Even though Zelda Wind Waker was incredible, its cartoonish aesthetic received a lot of flack. Many longtime fans were disappointed since they were hoping for a mature Zelda entry akin to the tech demo teased at Space World in the year 2000. So when Nintendo revealed the follow-up to Wind Waker at 2004's E3, the excitement was through the roof. The trailer for The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess showcased a chilling tone and gritty atmosphere unlike anything seen in the franchise before. Watching Link prepping his sword on horseback while an endless horde of bokoblins loomed on the horizon was a magical moment. Captions appeared throughout the teaser stating, "Swords will bleed and shields will shatter," reminding us that Twilight Princess was nothing like its cutesy predecessor. And with Conan the Barbarian's Riders of Doom blaring throughout, it was clear that we were getting the epic adventure we always wanted. This trailer hit home for many because it felt like Nintendo took the criticism surrounding Wind Waker on board and did everything in their power to course correct and basically just do the opposite. Of course, the hilarious thing there is that when you got this epic game, you booted it up and you did a 2-hour-long tutorial before things actually got good, but that's neither here nor there. Number 4, Mass Effect 2. BioWare promoted the hell out of Mass Effect 2, releasing a teaser, an official trailer, and 6 class trailers narrated by the lead designer herself, Christina Norman. Although each of these advertisements was impressive, it was the launch trailer in particular that got everybody's attention since it incorporated the best elements from the other promotions altogether. The trailer opens with an intriguing new character called the Elusive Man, voiced by Martin Sheen, emphasizing the upcoming conflict is on a galactic scale. His profound monologue is accompanied by images of an alien race decimating soldiers and obliterating space stations, accentuating the danger exponentially. The Elusive Man speaks about Commander Shepard not as a man but as a symbol, filling players with hope despite how outmatched he is. And after hearing Shepard's rallying speech, you felt like you could take down these extraterrestrials all by yourself. Another aspect that elevates the stakes is the soundtrack, Hearts of Courage. Every beat matches the action, so the music hits the crescendo every time there's a visual representing danger, fear, or chaos. By coupling all of these features together, each shot successfully evokes the relentless danger and hopeless war which Shepard and the rest of humanity are facing, and you couldn't wait to play. Number 3, Star Wars Republic Commando. Star Wars Republic Commando follows a clone trooper group called Delta Squad who are genetically hardwired for war and tasked with completing high-risk missions. So on paper, hiring a Brit-pop rock band to promote a Star Wars property probably sounds kind of left field, but Ash's haunting track Clones really couldn't have turned out better. Although bloodstained troops being overpowered by killer droids is a powerful visual in its own right, it resonates on a deeper level thanks to the melancholic melody and relentless bass raging in the background. sound. Now, whilst this was kick-ass for its audience at the time, looking back on it, it's a great encapsulation of the era. Following the nu metal boom at the turn of the millennium, rock music re-entered the mainstream, and video games were certainly turning heads with being a growth industry. These two things were once counterculture, and all jokes about "no mom, you shut up" emo teenagers listening to Bullet for My Valentine and playing Call of Duty aside, they were forcing the world to pay attention, independently and in this case, together. In fact, rock and video games were often comboed together in a rising tide raises all ships kind of way, talking about Halo 2's Breakin' Benjamin track, Adima's music video for Mortal Kombat, and so on. In the case of heavier music in the mainstream, it couldn't last forever, but Ash's Republic Commando video is a perfect example of what it felt like at its crescendo. Even if you haven't seen it before and have no nostalgia for this specific example, it'll still give you the warm and fuzzy feelings if you grew up through this period. Number 2, Gears of War. Gears of War's teaser opens with a bulky soldier armed with a chainsaw gun navigating through an abandoned city. While he roams through the crumbling streets and looks at the dilapidated structures, the burly protagonist encounters a colossal alien. As he fires his futuristic firearm at the creature, the screen abruptly cuts to black. Now, if you hadn't seen this before and you watched it with no audio, you would have all kind of assumptions about the way this trailer sounded. But in reality, there's no dialogue and there's no sound effects, and the minute-long footage has been seared into many gamers' minds because of the choice of music. Based on the cartoonishly sized hero and gritty aesthetic, you'd expect the trailer to contain an aggressive and explosive soundtrack, which was standard for the time. But instead, the marketing team went in the complete opposite direction, having Gary Jules' Mad World play from beginning to end. The bleak and tragic tone is beautifully juxtaposed with the war-torn imagery, creating a heart-wrenching feeling that was unexpected for an edgy third-person shooter. Even though Gears of War has remained consistent for 2 decades and has plenty of powerful moments, it's hard to think of a time when the franchise left an impression quite like this. And number 1, Halo 3. The marketing for Halo 3 didn't just feel like a promotional tool, but a moment in gaming history, since each of them hit emotionally, visually, and culturally. Honestly, it's really hard to say which trailer is the best, since they all hit hard in different ways, so let's just do all of them. Although the official E3 2006 trailer was expected to show off bombastic action, the reveal feels more cinematic and mournful, elevating the emotional weight of the story. It highlights that this isn't just a video game war, but the last stand for humanity. And so it was the perfect setup for what was to come. The Super Bowl Starry Night commercial depicts Master Chief as a boy stargazing with his friend. It then smash cuts to a war-torn battlefield with the adult Chief launching himself into battle. Not only was the contrast between childhood innocence and the brutal war deeply moving, it was the first time we really saw more of Master Chief's humanity. Rather than leaving it at that though, Bungie released yet another series of commercials portraying a diorama of Chief's squad in the middle of a losing battle. The somber music and meticulous detail of the diorama evokes real gravity, emphasizing the soldiers' terror and desperation, and the brilliant inclusion of actors portraying veterans of the war that the player is about to fight, and the lasting impact they as Master Chief would have, was chef's kiss. What makes these trailers so fascinating is how the marketers didn't take the easy route by focusing on cool gadgets or flashy gunfights. Fortunately, the minimalistic approach paid off, since it teased an epic and emotional story while giving away very little. Even after all these years, none of Halo 3's promotions have lost an ounce of their power. And speaking of video game trailers, here's a video on screen now for trailers that got away with lying because the games were just that good. Thanks for watching. I've been Sai, and have a good week.